Hello, creatives, community, kind folks out there. Sorry, my microphone decided to fall down on me at this moment. Hello, welcome to RPG with DBJ. We are going to flow back into our somewhat usual rhythm. We're going back into our Monster Monday, Tips and Tricks Tuesday, World Building Wednesday, etc. Today is Monster Monday, and normally, for those of you who are unfamiliar with how this works, is we pick a theme for the week and then a different portion of that theme each day. So today's Monster Monday. And something came up in our talk when we were doing our dissection of characters for Game of Thrones. And I thought this would fit perfectly in for this theme of the week, because I think we could actually go far deeper into it. So we talked about an evil Ned Stark. We don't necessarily need to go through the whole idea of the evil Ned Stark, but I thought on a bigger scale, we're going to talk about family ties and bonds and relationships and familial links between our big bad evil creatures and our PCs, making things more than just a bunch of adventuring, player character strangers meeting up with some stranger evil people and some stat blocks and then fighting it out, rolling some dice, but actually having them have a connection, have a real familial connection, even amongst the bad guys and the PCs and in and amongst themselves. Instead of just the evil person with a lieutenant, it could be an evil creature who has a relationship with a lot of tension with their children or their uncles and nieces or even their spouse, and incorporate that into the story as far as this goes. So, because one of the things that really drew me into thinking about this was the idea of spoiler alert, Ned Stark from Game of Thrones and him being evil and bringing his children back from the dead after they were killed, and his relationship with his wife and how he had to lie about this bastard child of his, and he had to live with this. And it's like, well, why wouldn't we just incorporate that into the history and the foundation of the foundation of our characters? Deadman's being silly, talking about a half dragon, half ooze. Although that's actually a possibility. I know it sounds kind of strange, but I can imagine a dragon, a half dragon's breath being that of an ooze, or or it would be rather nasty to see a dragon skeleton, almost like a gelatin shaped like a dragon instead of a gelatinous cube, and then the flesh kind of oozes off of it and then can ooze back onto the skeletal thing. It'd be pretty nasty, but I think I can imagine that. But I think the idea here, what I'm really trying to get at, is that for a player character who has who has a plot or a background element where they are they have a long lost relative, they have a tenuous connection to maybe an uncle or a mentor or a best friend that they grew up with, and then turning those individuals into their adversaries without it necessarily being without them necessarily hating each other, but having them part of this story. An example would be a player character has graduated from a military academy, and they fought against a rival dictator, and they have this great relationship, or at least remembered having this great relationship with their other members in wartime, fighting in the trenches, saving each other's lives, and then come to find out that one of their mates, their battle buddies, conspired to kill a king or overthrow a government, or was part of of a rebellion that overthrew their, their government, whatever. And now this individual has gained a lot of power. Maybe this king or this royal family was usurped, and now this individual has taken over. Maybe they need the player character's help to maintain law and order, or maybe they hear rumors about um, about this person being brutal and killing people in the streets and executions. But when they arrive and they actually talk to this person, despite seeing people's heads on spikes and the gallows in the streets and whatnot, maybe this person is like beseeching them, like, listen, I've got a lot of enemies and I'm trying to save these people. And every time I try to put one fire out, another fire begins, and I've got to really put down law and order, and I don't know how to do it, and I really need your help. And it could be a matter of, the player characters, do they believe this individual, or do they try to redeem them? Do they instantly hate this individual, despite the fact that they are, on their knees pleading with the PCs to help them? Basically going through far more motivations and far more connections than the typical, let's just butt heads, roll dice, and see how many experience points we can get. I think another thing too is to offer the opportunity for the player characters to solve a situation rather than hitting it with a stick. It could be diplomatic and relating back to the past or their personalities. Two paladins that came from the same order but were separated by, tens or hundreds or thousands of miles may have, quote unquote, gone native or changed their point of view as to their loyalty to the Knight's Order. And it could be that they had to do this because of the circumstances that they're in. And when the other PC, the other knight comes from far away, they revealed to them some dark secret about the Paladin Order, and how, yes, they are still loyal to the oath, but they are not loyal to the foundation or the leadership amongst this Paladin Order. Or it could be that that a lost love maybe has started to raise a child that belongs to one of the player characters, and they didn't know this, but then when they see them, they have the same eye color, the same birthmark, maybe the same strange colored patch of hair that the player character has, that weird purple patch of hair they've had over their temples forever. And now when they see this small 6-year-old child playing, next to the throne room, or, hiding in the sewers or walking down the street, they're like, there's something familiar. Wait, what? Who? When did this happen? And it could have been maybe they, again, a lost love from when they were in the academy or something of that nature. Just adding in these extra special elements. Even having evil creatures have. Yeah, Ricker said, "Blood calls blood." Absolutely, and if you really want to dive even slightly deeper into more of a medieval type of realm, blood has a lot. Intellectually and socially and culturally, blood has a extremely high level of importance as far as leaving a legacy beyond you, whether it's passing on everything that you've gained to your loved ones, to your children, to your family, to your brothers or sisters. And we have every ability to connect our evil creatures to the player characters. For example, if a player character is a spellcaster, like a wizard or a sorcerer or something, it could be that magic came from or was taught by or has a relationship to, maybe with hags or naga or other creatures that come from a mystical background. We already have that connection in your classic tieflings, where they have the blood of fiends and other netherworld creatures that tie them together. And who's to say that the player character doesn't have a familial and reasonable relationship with a fiend from the netherworld who asks of them to ask them to go on particular missions or ask favors, or maybe there is hey, Fat Ninja DM, what's going on? I'll come to you in a minute, but maybe like the tiefling character is this fiendish creature is like, listen, I'm going to stay away from the people that you know, but there's a war coming, and that war is spilling over out of the abyss or the nine hells or wherever it may be, and they actually have this connection, this relationship where they talk to each other, irregardless of the level of the characters. By the way, for those who don't know, Fantasy Grounds is an electronic virtual tabletop system, just like Roll20. And Fantasy College, of course, has a lot of followers, but some may find that it is difficult to learn or to step in. So my suggestion for you guys, if you are ever interested in learning Fantasy College or learning the ins and outs, or if you already have it but you want to dive a little deeper, join Fantasy Grounds College. Fat Ninja DM is one of many individuals there who are there to help you maximize the most out of Fantasy Grounds virtual tabletop. So just about that. Derek Kevin, hello there. How are you there, man? Yeah, we're just talking about, I'm talking generally about family ties and legacy and blood bonds, and using those elements for our NPCs and especially our evil creatures, our bad guys, our monsters, things of that nature. Going down that mystical, more or less our monster path as well. It's a possibility player characters may actually have or come from a blood relationship with some of our characters. Like I mentioned, like Nagas and hags and things, but it could be minotaurs or dragons, like Deadman brought up earlier, or even oozes, if you want to go down a weird, strange path. But who's to say that those things aren't there isn't a tenuous connection, and that some of those evil creatures are like, you know what, I'm ready to lay waste to my enemies, but because I know you, I'm going to hold off, and I'll hold off for 24 hours because we know each other and we're from the same family. But I need you to understand that I can't hold off my armies forever. Or maybe the PCs find a spy, and that spy is, they recognize each other. Maybe the spy is a doppelganger, and that doppelganger has a relationship with maybe the arcane trickster in the PC's party, because ultimately that's where like their blood relationship or their training even comes from, and they recognize each other or something of that nature, right? Rickard says you could do the one style plot. Oh, like the movie. Ooh, god awful movie, but cool idea. Hey, you leave Jet Li alone. And have an arcane bloodline that the number of living relatives dilutes the blood, so the big bad wants to be the sole member. Ooh, I like that. Where they could be. Many years ago, I did a video about blink dogs and displacer beasts, and somebody brought up the idea that there's only ever been, and there only ever is, one blink dog and one displacer beast. They're just spread amongst different divergent timelines through time and space and such. And it could be that the player character is like you said, is a diluted blood member of this other species. I believe that's even been brought up through vampires, where the quote unquote younger vampires, the ones with the thinner blood, the ones of higher generation, may be killed by the ones of older generation. That was the original meta plot for Vampire the Masquerade. So yeah, that could very well be a thing in your game, where the ancient ones, the ones like, let's go with the tiefling, right? Maybe the fiends are against the tieflings in your world because they know that their power is being thinned out, and the only way to really come to this world, the only way to really, step upon this world as a physical creature and take over, is to one by one eliminate their brethren or their children, essentially. Ricker says, DBJ, I love the fact that you automatically knew which movie I was talking about. Yeah, every once in a while I'll get if I get the pop culture reference, I really get it, man. And yes, it is the one is a god awful movie, but I kind of love the plot. I love the cheesiness of it, man. That's a great thing. Deadman says the show Shadowhunters does this well with Magnus Bane. He's the son of Asmodeus, or Asmodeus, if you want to pronounce it that way as well. I like Asmodeus because I think it comes across a little like sinister. Asmodeus, as opposed to Asmodeus. But whatever. I'm not familiar with the Shadowhunters show. Just a minute, Zev. I'm not familiar with the Shadowhunters television show, but like to say that like someone's the son of like this, this fiend or devil or demon or something, and that blood relationship. And this is done a lot of times in television because I'm going to flow into what Zev is wants to know. We're talking about family ties, blood relationships, tight connections with our PCs and our big bad evil guys, and the extended family thereof. Leave it alone, man. Man, we're really beating up on the pop culture references, aren't we? Wow. Boy, didn't even get a chance to get a shot back in. No, but in all seriousness, though, we can even go even deeper with the PCs having a blood relationship or a familial relationship or a background relationship with our big bad evil guys by even going deeper by having more complex relationships with our big bad evil guys. We brought up Friday about Ned Stark trying to bring back his dead wife Catelyn, who got her throat cut, and he's like an undead revenant, and her throat was cut, and she's like, she's always trying to say these words, but she can't. But then once the words come out, maybe she's like a banshee, and she just has this horrible, throat bleeding scream or something like that. We can also have tension amongst our own big bad, bad guy. So let's go something different other than fiends, right? Let's say that the big bad is a lich, and the lich has been bringing back his friends, because let's go out of the blood relationship. Maybe their friends were in a big war, and all of them were killed one by one against a war, against an evil force or another country or something. And this lich is bringing back their dead brethren one by one as some form of undead, whether they're a vampire or a mummy or revenant or a banshee or a ghost or a zombie or something of that nature, and brings them back from the dead. But they're not all of them are not necessarily thankful for it. One could be like a black knight, an evil black knight that's like, thank you for bringing me back, and we will exact our revenge on our enemies. Where another one could be a ghost, and it's like, you brought me back from the light. Like, what did you do to me? Like, it just pissed off. And like the big bad could be haunted by the ghost of one of the people who was like, I was with my family. They were dead and I was dead, and we embraced each other. You pulled me back from them, and I hate you. And that ghost could be a link to draw the PCs into it, who might have been, members of this battle, in the past, and maybe that battle failed, and the PCs are in the countryside is living with the fact that they failed and to, overthrow this enemy nation or something. And so again, you're starting to create these connections. Maybe the connections are, in language or behavior, or they remember sitting around the campfire before they went into battle and all died or something like that. Ricker says you could also do it the other way. A big bad guy wants to break through into the prime material, so they sire half-breeds to do so, as they have a built-in weakness to the big bad guy's influence. And I could see that as well, where the PCs may or may not know that they are of the blood of this thing from another world, whether it's an elemental prince or a celestial. As we know, celestials are pretty, if you read, not necessarily in role-playing games, but mythology, that celestials are pretty scary things, just as scary as demons. And of course, we know the idea of fallen angels, that fiends and demons and devils are basically angels with their wings off, so they could have a relationship too. So the PCs in the prime material world may be like all love and sunshine and glowing, and I'm an Asimar, or I've got celestial pack, warlock pack to an angel or something like that. But little do they know that, again, they are the half breed. They are the members, and if enough of them get together, they could open up a portal to let these creatures come here. And that might not be a willing thing, even though maybe the religion in this world is absolutely trying to do it, not understanding the ramifications of letting these celestial beings come to the earth and having them with their giant flaming swords and ravage everyone. Like, yeah, there's 1,000 people at a village, and there's one that's evil, and I intend to eradicate all the evil, good or bad, so they'll never, raise its evil head again. And the PC's like, whoa, 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 time out. Let's do this a different way, right? Zev says, what if the bad guys are star spawn beings from the elder evils or great old ones, and one of the players is a cult member of one of the great old ones? Yes, absolutely. Maybe the cult is owned by a school, and the school treats the worship and treats and worships and bargains they strike with this being as a study, of course. And in the course of things, it could be that, for example, going down your thought trail there, right? Maybe some of the members of this cult isn't really a cult. Maybe so many generations have passed. They're just pretty reasonable. Like, no, we're studying astrology and the fact that the stars were placed in the sky by the elder beings, and we're just trying to bring this elder being back. But every once in a while, some of the members of the cult go insane, and they've been whisked away into an asylum or something, and the player character maybe has a relationship to some of the ones that have gone insane, and the player's like, what's going on? I don't really understand this. Not understanding that, of course, they're trying to summon Cthulhu, because generations after generations, out of sight, out of mind, things begin to change. Many of our present day holidays and beliefs today came from pagan worship in the past, and even that pagan worship was manipulated by Christian religion to accommodate for rulership and things like that. So it could be that things have been manipulated, but the original plot is to summon Cthulhu and whatnot. Rickard says, Shadows over Ismouth is basically a big bad otherworldly entity bloodline story. Is it? I'm not familiar with that storyline, but yes, the idea of being pulled in different directions because of your blood relationship, especially if one of the PCs really wants to take a throne or a high level position, and you find out that they were born to this particular bloodline, and you see a collection of a Naga or something, and the player character's like, why aren't they attacking me? And you look at the evil guy looks at them and it's like, you are of our blood. That is why your blood is green. You are, you were never dragonborn or something. You were part of our scaled legacy, and you belong with us. And the dragonborn character's like, oh, maybe I should be with them. Zevmar says, in Bloodborne, the worship of these elder gods was considered a study, which led to experiments where they tried to mix their blood with elder blood, trying to become one. Many kidnappings led to failures that became jellyfish hybrids. And the star spawns show up in parts of these worshiping sites, posing as viceroys for their gods. And again, here it is where the PCs may really want to uncover what the hell's going on by uncovering whoa, these creatures, I'm learning from these beings, and there's these creatures, and imagine the PCs end up finding out that they're getting instructions from a floating brain with jellyfish tentacles floating beneath it, and like you said, there's viceroys and individuals, and instead of swords being drawn, one of the major domos or something bows to one of the player characters, like, no, we want to invite you in. And invite me in? We were just clashing swords a moment ago. And that kind of thing. Yeah. Once PCs reach higher levels, maybe their former teacher believes he is summoning the speaker of the gods, but finds out he will serve as their vessel. The starspawn swarm him, eating him, becoming a larva mage. Ooh, that's a possibility. Maybe, maybe one of the PCs is part of this elder god magic and cult, but come to find out that they've been carrying the a birthmark, or their magic, or something about them is different. And one of they tie the PC down, and maybe the player characters of this player character has been growing these maggot larval things in their stomach this entire time. So they use a thin blade to just open up their stomach to let these things come out, not doing any damage to the player character, but then you just see maggots the size of your thumb or your fist just flow out of the PC's stomach, because they've been growing these things for generations, and they're trying to capture, the next 12. So they'd have 13, star spawn of this cult. And the PC's like, what the hell? That's been growing in my stomach for all these years? Like, hell yeah. I mean, you could go down some dark paths with this. Maybe each time the player character uses their magic, they are breaking through a portal just a little bit more. They're bringing back an elder god that's been asleep, and they're letting this elder god come to life just a little bit more every time they use their magic. Every time they cast a spell, they touch upon the threads of magic, and this evil thing can see through their eyes. And the evil thing is like, I don't want to kill you. I'm just glad that you're giving me the energy to come back to life. And the player's like, ooh, shoot, ooh. Do I stop using my power? How do I use it against them? Is it a chance that it won't work against them? And I'm going to have to find, i.e. get my other PCs around me, because I'm going to need help taking them down when they do come to life. That kind of thing. Rickard says, going outside the box with this bloodlines thing, big bad evil guys are a parasite that lives in the blood of the infected. Oh, I love that idea. When the maybe a side effect of what the player character does, like for example in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, whenever the Vampire Slayer would sense, and this was from the very beginning of the show, they kind of dropped it, but every time the player maybe uses detect magic or detect good and evil, or is able to see the lines of magic, they get a pain in their stomach, and when they vomit, they're these little small larval things that come out in their vomit, and that might just be a side effect. The PC doesn't know why, but come to find out that they're growing into alien creatures or something over time as they just wash it down into the sewers. It'd be pretty nasty. Even going back to the ooze thing, maybe the player character doesn't have normal human blood, and when they're cut, it's basically like gray ooze or black pudding or something that comes out of their body that, of course, doesn't harm them, but could grow and start to infest or expand or something like that nature. Zevron says, Shadow over Ismouth, the main character finds out not sure what that means. What you typed in there, something full of fish people. Oh, the town's full of fish people related to these elder gods, and flees, but finds out once he feels his great grandmother was one of them. He rather quickly starts to morph into a fish person as well, and then joins them. Oh, the town is, yeah. Big Bad being the flood from Halo. Not sure about it. Could be. I mean, again, tying the player characters in some way, shape, or form to the big bads is a great story element, especially when it's funny. You using the idea of, yeah, the bad guy is evil and doing heinous things, but for the PCs, no, we don't want to hurt you. We want you to join us. Or it could be that someone remembers, the idea of the fallen knight who becomes the Black Knight, and then when they see the PC, they feel regret over what they're doing. There doesn't necessarily need the motivation of the bad guy doesn't need to be, hey, I'm evil, you're good, we're enemies. It could be like a person who is this evil knight could feel a lot of guilt, could be crying every time they put another dozen people, slicing their bellies open and tying them up and stringing them up to be crucified or whatever. It's just like, like, I'm doing this to help you, to save you. Please, everyone, please stop it. And of course, the more they do this, the more the people rebel. And then the PCs, of course, come in, and the big bad could just fall on their knees in front of the PCs, like, I beseech you, you have to help me do this. We've got to carve the evil out of the hearts of men. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, get off of me. Like, what's going on here? Your pocket GM says, hey, heck yeah. The moment you find out you have an aberrant monster bloodline, you lean into that. Hell yeah. I mean, of course, we know in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, the warlock and the sorcerer are probably the two that really, really dive deep into that bloodline. But there's no reason that any other class type or player character creation doesn't have an intrinsic bloodline as well, or there's nothing saying that any other races in your world, such as elves or even humans and halflings and stuff. I mean, who's to say halflings don't have a blood relationship to something subterranean, or that lives in the trees in the dark jungles or something, or that dwarves aren't a blood relationship to earth elementals, and being pulled in either direction in terms of diving deep into that. And yes, I absolutely agree with you, Pocket GM. Yeah. When the moment you find out you have an aberrant monster bloodline, yeah, hell yeah, you lean into that. So everyone says the flutter is sort of like fungus living organism that possesses and eats whatever it touches. It possesses the living and dead, and the more it eats, the more it can copy itself. The smarter it gets. And it could be the player character may not understand that they are the cause of this, or it could be that they understand. The public may think that this fungus or this spreading, this ooze, this infestation is evil at the moment, but will eventually be the equivalent of an arcane AI in this world. And the PC knows this, but the other people don't know it. So it could be like trying to spread and copy itself. That copying of itself could be like Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of thing. But the PC is like, no, please don't resist. We will become one. We'll be like a hive mind if you just let it spread to at least 100,000 people. And the people are like, you're crazy. I've got fungus growing on my arm, and it's turning my my tongue pink, and it's destroying my eyes or something, and they're like popping in my head. And hell no, I don't want to see my loved ones being absorbed into some fungal giant. Like, that's crazy, and the PC's like, no, this is the true thing. I mean, you could even reflavor player character powers as being like fungal infections. It's not charm person. It's like it's like spores that land on the other person's skin, and they can't stop themselves from, controlling themselves. Or like hold monster or hold person could be the same way. Same thing with like a blindness or deafness spell, or entangle spell or something of that nature. Zerma says, leaning out of the villains thing for a bit. A PC I made for my Ravnica game was an Aasimar. The Boros Legion serve besides angels, and I figured, what if one had a child with a captain? Think of the expectations your character must have as one with angelic descent, since the leaders of the guild are all angels, all beings of immense power. Of course, having that familial relationship, having a child with something that becomes the big bad evil guy, having a brother or sister that is one. A PC could literally be an angel that just doesn't live on the one of the celestial planes, and therefore is a quote unquote player character, is a mortal. But another angel, they could have had a great relationship. Maybe one of the player characters' children was raised, and the player character is older. Maybe like someone like me, I'd play probably an elder character, a person in their 40s and 50s, right? And has a child, but that child could be going down a darker path, and doesn't necessarily need to be, like you're saying, Zevran, like it doesn't necessarily need to be evil, but they could be pulled in a different direction. Like, hey, on one hand, hey, you need to go out and adventure. On the other hand, you need to stay home and protect your kids, By the way, I want to thank there's 10 people in chat. I really appreciate that. Not sure where all 10 of you are from or where you are, but thumbs up to you guys. Thank you very much for joining in. Zevron is saying, like, let's flowing away from the villain. NPCs that are not mortal can also be part of the group. For example, you're going very arcane. Your dragonborn may have a connection to dragons. Real dragons in your world may be a thing, and periodically the dragonborn's walking through town and they get a tap on the shoulder and they're pulled into an alleyway, and it could be a polymorphed dragon, and dragon's like, listen, they're coming to kill me. They're coming to take my stuff. They're coming to the Forgotten Mountain, and I really need your help. Dragonborn's like, what are you talking about? Like, listen, there's a group of dragon slayers. They're coming for me. I can't keep running from them. I need your help to save me. Or maybe one of the dragons comes to the PCs and is like, I have given birth to a clutch of 3 eggs, and I need you to take them to the blue dragon in the deep desert, that sleeps in a crevice in the ground, and I need you to take these eggs before they hatch, to this far off realm. So instead of it's like flipping the script, right? Instead of the characters like, oh, we kill dragons, it could be we are helping to give birth to dragons, or take the eggs so that they can incubate, so that they can grow, that kind of thing. Yeah, Zevron says, I thought the angel mother, since all angels in that are women, in Ravnica, right, could have been her commanding officer and trainer, and gives her missions to do with the group. Ooh, I like that idea. And who's to say that the player character is like, a player character is maybe wants to get married to this angel, but it's unseemly, or maybe the player character has, the angel is pregnant with the player character's child, and unfortunately the player character may not have the influence to tell this angel what to do, but at the same time they feel they want to be in this child's life, and they're torn. And it could be the angel is on a mission, like, listen, I got to be a commander, I've got to rule these people, I can't sit back and let anything happen, but I'm going to fight until my last trimester, or however that works, or something, right? And the player character is like, okay, but I know some evil things are going to come gunning for you, because they know that if they don't want the celestial bloodline to continue, and I know who these assassins are going to be, so I'm going to have to stop them, right? Whereas maybe the angelic figure is like, no, you need to stay by my side. And it's like, no, there's assassins coming for you. They're coming for our child, and I need to stop them. Very much so could be a great way to extend that out. And it could actually be like a lone wolf and cub idea, where the child's given birth and the player character has to protect the child, but the child has some like arcane abilities and stuff. That'd be kind of cool. Zevron says, imagine being the draconic bloodline sorcerer, finding out their father is a silver dragon that lived polymorphed. This entire time is posed as a PC's father, looked human or elven, but they raised the character. Absolutely. Hell yeah. I mean, and the player character may have learned. There could be falsehoods in how dragons are treated, and you come to find out that there is this legacy, there is this thing of the silver dragon, and the PC is like, oh, it was my father. But if I tell everybody that this silver dragon was my father, they might come gunning for him. Or there could be a legend of this silver dragon who was supposed to come back, and the father is like, listen, I can't come back. There's a reason why. And there could be something dark and mysterious, or maybe the silver dragon has the dad has a relationship with other dragons. Maybe dragons do not war against each other, but there's no saying that they can't have their agents go against each other. And if the dragon comes forward, the silver dragon, this character's father comes forward, they can't take up arms against, say, the red dragon who has an army against the other side. You know what I mean? Like there could be like, you're my child. You're the only one that can that can fight in my name because I'm unable to take up arms against the red dragon and their legion or whatever. Zevron says, I love the idea of playing a father who doesn't live up to the mother's standards. I think you're being a little sarcastic, but I also think you're being, but you're absolutely being real, right? Like there could be a pull, a tie, like you need to stay at home, and it's like, no, I need to go out, or it could be the other way. Maybe the mom was like, you need to get your ass out of here. Dad's like, I need to stay by your side because you're a weak woman, and she's just like, whatever, you need to get your rear end out of here, and here's a flaming sword, now go out there and kill some things, right? So everyone says quote, so this isn't just incredibly dry skin. My child, you have silver scales and gold eyes. I was still holding out hopes of being like normal. Yeah. And a great way to grow a player character's capabilities by like reskinning everything into that, especially if you're going to play like a sorcerer who's like who has a dragon blooded sorcerer, or if you want to reskin the dragon blood into some other kind of like bloodline or what have you. Kaya says, so has very limited or no access. Oh, you mean as far as like having access to either connections or powers or something like that? Absolutely. That's exactly how we can how a character gains levels, is that they are touching upon greater abilities, or maybe they have a mentor that is a monstrous creature, and that monstrous creature gives to them secrets to uncover some of their abilities. And we also think of hags as being like ancient and old, and we need to kill the hag because they're making meat pies out of children in the woods. But it could be the old hag in your world doesn't need to be alignment, chaotic, or evil. The old hag could just be someone who gives abilities to the local wizard or shaman or something, and the player character is like, I need help, and she gives the person potions or gives them further information as to their legacy, that the child was born because the mom couldn't get pregnant, and the mom and dad came to the old hag, and the old hag gave them a potion to allow them to give birth, and gave birth to the PC, and the PC may have a familial or an arcane, a dark legacy from this old hag that lived in the woods, like a Baba Yaga of sorts. And that's where the PC's dark abilities come from. Zevron says, my character wasn't the father of an angel's child. She was the angel's child, and the angel was her mom. Oh, okay, perfect. When she uses her angel of vengeance transformation, she taps into that fire main bloodline. Eyes go golden, hair sets on fire, blood turns liquid gold that bubbles when spilled. Ooh, I like that. And imagine, if you will, many times you hear of parents having a connection to their child. So it could be every time the child gets in trouble, your PC gets in trouble as a child from an angelic figure. This angelic figure knows where you are, or at least knows that it could be like empathic, where they know you're in trouble and may or may not cause trouble when they come to try to either save you or pull your fat out of the fire or hunt you down because you're lost or something like that. And it's like, whoa, I had this under control. You didn't have to show the hell up. Like, always coming in and doing things and, making me look bad in front of my people or something. Or, it could be familial. Like, I just want to make sure you're okay. Or it could be, really, you failed again? I can't believe that we're related or something in that nature. Same thing for the classic half-orc, right? The half-orc or the half-goblinoid, whether they're like half-orc, characters playing a minotaur, character playing a centaur or something, being pulled in either direction as to who and what they are. It could even be where if we start to flow away from the arcane, of course, having responsibility to family. For example, nobles have a lot of responsibility to, take care of their noble heritage and, the people that they are around. Or it could be the PCs could be teachers and teaching the young ones, teaching them sword skill or skills in magic or survival in the woods, or the PCs could have a relationship with rebel order that is hiding in the shadows of a great city state, and the PCs are responsible for transferring knowledge from one cell to another rebel cell. And so the PCs not only just have a familial relationship, but just an obligation to serving this other great power. Zevron says the starting equipment of the Boros Legion gives you an angel feather. What if it's from a comrade or lover angel or your parent? You hold it in times of stress, pondering what they would do. Scott Poe, hey, what's going on here, Scott? Yeah, absolutely. Who's to say that, again, reskinning things, right? If you use inspiration in your game, who's to say the inspiration isn't drawing upon that? For example, I want to use my inspiration to get advantage on my next attack roll, right? Or my saving throw. But who's to say that you aren't drawing upon this feather from an angel, and that angel literally doesn't speak to you in your head or appear out of the sky as a ghostly form, and it's like, you have this in you, you, of course, bringing this into a story, making it far more dramatic, more cinematic, where the angel shows up behind the player character and it's like, I knew you would have to call upon me, and I will guide your blade, to slay your enemy or something. And boom, of course, the player character is filled with a divine energy. Boom, they kill the big bad. They look around, and the angel's gone. But that's us telling a story where mechanically the player's like, can I use my inspiration on this? And Game Master's like, yeah, sure, okay. I roll 2d20, and I take the higher roll. I rolled an 8 and a 17. Yay! You know what I mean? Like the mechanical bits and pieces are just there to it's to disseminate, it's to find out what random effect will happen or won't happen. But we can make the story that surrounds that ability. We can make the story that, hey, when my character uses their inspiration, they're calling upon their mentor or their wife or child or something. As I am the son or daughter of this great being or something, and whenever I use my powers or my abilities, I call upon them to give me my powers to do it. So everyone says, I want to make some Cheerios after the stream. Hey, before these streams, I drink my my almond milk by the guys. Contact this company. Maybe they could be my my sponsor. Almond milk. Breakfast of champions. Anyway, so I'm being stupid. So it could be that, yes, we know what warlocks are like, but who's to say that, like, a person playing a paladin or a cleric, JP says, love me some almond milk. Hell yeah. By the way, guys, join the Discord. JP, thank you so much. Opened up and created the Discord. So thank JP for doing that. And I'm not the best or brightest, but those who take part in the chat and those who are watching and such are far brighter than me. Communicate with them. Got some story ideas. Of course, in the chat, you can't post pictures. You can't post links to other websites, but in the Discord, you can. So that's a great place to do that and continue the conversation when I got to get out of here. By the way, if I put almond milk on my almond vanilla special K, would that be a hat on a hat? Leave that alone. I love myself some vanilla almond milk in my vanilla cereal. Anyway, squirreled, the idea of having having this connection and taking this connection, because I you know me, I love drawing strange connections, right? There is the possibility that a player character may not know they are connected in your game. Like maybe this comes out organically. Like, for example, you say, hey, everybody, just make a first level character. I don't know how we're all connected. Let's just start and play. And through play, maybe there's behaviors and things we see. For example, maybe Cheerios are in your world or something, and the player character's like, why is the bad guy eating that? I like to eat that. And the bad guy's like, I like to eat that too. I remember being a kid and sitting around the orphanage with other people. And it's like, were you in the same orphanage I was in? It's like, maybe were you in the same group home I was in? Yeah. And it could be just this like, hey, I don't care that I'm a fire giant. Like we're relatives. Hey, come give me a hug. Like, I mean, it could be something as simple as like maybe a handshake or a specific way, like maybe there's a specific piece of graffiti on the wall that looks exactly like a birthmark or a brand that's on the shoulder of the PC or in their forearm, and they're like, I wonder what that means. And they see someone with a sword that has the same emblem on it, or a shield, or a breastplate that has the same symbol. And the PC's like, why do you have that? And the bad guy's like, why do you have that? Like, no, why do you have, hey, maybe we should talk and sit down. And despite them being on opposite sides or even having parallel motivations, there could be something there. Zevron says another connection in Ravnica gives you an extra example of your out of your guild context. One contact for the Rakdos is, hey, Boros thinks I can be redeemed. Maybe an NPC paladin tries to help you, but they see that spark of good in you and try to save you from demonic worship or dangerous circus performances. Yeah, especially if you were like, you've got a fiendish warlock patron and the paladin wants to save you. That NPC is like, listen, I know the power draws you in. I know you're drawn to the dark side, and I don't want to be your enemy, but I mean, there's a way. Let's just sit down and talk, man. Let's just hash this out. And the PC's like, why isn't he trying to kill me? It's like, because he thinks you can be a good guy and join them. And they're like, no, I need to kill my experience points, right? I mean, yes, that's an old thing. We do have milestone experience. You don't need to kill things to get experience. Experience points can be given out for, I don't know, experiencing things. Undo says, in an anime, the MC, not sure what that means, lost his family to demons, and the surviving sister has been contaminated with demon blood. Now he is becoming a demon hunter because the only ones that know the cure are demons. Ooh, that might be held over a PC's head, right? Like, oh, you want to save your sister? Only we know the cure to that, right? Endo says your family can be affected by monsters. Of course, maybe certain monsters can smell your PC, or they don't want to, like a mother collecting their children together. Maybe the big bad guy just wants you to suckle upon their evil teat. And the PC's like, I am not putting that thing in my mouth, right? But the evil person might be like, I don't want to kill you. I want to embrace you. You belong to me. And PC's like, why did you have to show that image to me? JP says, bitter is the orphan's journey and lonely is the orphan's grave. But those Cheerios, man, Cheerios might be the connection. I mean, they, hey, who knows? We've seen plenty. Cheerios in a Ziploc bag is like the food of the gods for a lot of kids, man. Zephyron says, hell, it can lead to a romance a la Catwoman and Batman. Yeah, one is clearly a villain while the other is a hero trying to get the other to see their potential and save them. And of course, that, like you said, Batman and Catwoman, they're not trying to hurt each other, even though they're on opposite sides. Who's to say that a storm giant is like, or I'm trying to think of some other evil creatures, or like something like a siren or an elemental or something, a djinn or an ifrit, right? Doesn't have a romantic relationship with one of the PCs, and the ifrit is like, listen, you just need to. Oh, MC main character. Thank you, Dead Man. Sorry, I'm thinking of intellectual property. I was like, what's called MC? Monster killer? Like, no, that's not, whatever. But you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Like, an ifrit is a powerful creature, but could be like, listen, you are my love, and we can join together. And the PC's like, no, I don't want to burn up when I touch you. It's like, listen, there is a way for us to be together if you just do this one thing for me, or I don't want to hurt you, but I have to kill the djinn on the other side of the desolate desert or something like that. The PC is like, that djinn is helping me out to complete this mission, so we're going to have a talk, right? And the Ifrit's like, well, we need to be on the same page because we need to discipline our kids. Rickard says, going more on ties than bloodlines, if you go by the mark, what if you have a mark that manifests on people across the world? No one knows why, but bad things tend to happen around or to those marked. Ooh, oh, I like that. I like that a lot. And is the PC the cause of it? Like simply being in contact, they're the cause of it, or is the PC trying to save these individuals for whatever reason? Zev says the mark is an important symbol. Those who wear it on a medallion are masters. Those who have it tattooed or burnt to their skin are slaves. Ooh, ugh. I like where we're going with that. Fantastic Dimensions. What's going on? By the way, guys, like, share, subscribe to Fantastic Dimensions. Says, what's up, DBJ? I like to use family ties and Call of Cthulhu games. Ooh, especially if a PC falls while holding the mythos at bay. Who better to join the fight than a relative who wants answers? Perfect reason to quote unquote, I need another PC because mine died, right? Like the sister in the insane asylum who's released, who finds out that their brother is a detective who's been trying to uncover some ancient text, and the sister finally gets off the quote unquote drugs that keeps them from seeing this dark elder god, and then goes through the detective's paperwork and stuff, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can have this series of things running, talking about the mark, about those who wear the medallion are masters, and those who have it burnt or their skin are slaves. Maybe the PC understands that these enslaved people see things that other people don't, and there could be a connection where there are innocent people who are babbling and speaking in tongues, and no one understands them, and they're scribbling things on wall that look like chaos and ancient text that no one can read, but maybe the PC sees it themselves, right? Yeah, thanks, Undo. Yeah, MC means main character. Sometimes I just need an education. Fantastic Dimension says, I'm running a Gaslight 1890s London campaign now, where one of the investigators inherited half of the inquiry agency from their uncle. Ooh, would be cool to follow up with the 1920s campaign, Next Generation. Oh, that is cool. What if the Next Generation, you do another series like in 1920s, and it starts out with digging up a grave and a grave site, or opening up a crypt from the player character's own relative, and when they go and they open up the casket, there's like information in there, or the reading of the will, right? You always love that with the PCs around a table, and there's a reading of a will, and there's a hidden room in the basement or in the attic of a building of the house or whatever that's been abandoned, because for some reason the house has been abandoned and no one's gone in it for 3 generations, while it's like all decrepit and stuff. And you know, maybe children play in the backyard. They tease each other like, I bet you can't stay here overnight. I bet you can't. And the PCs go inside and they uncover these things, and you find out, like, that was my grandfather that did that killed his own family. And am I going to go crazy like my grandfather and become, maybe the ghost is related to the PCs? Sarah says, baby making them fire Genasi, going back to the Ifrit with the PC. Why not? Why the hell not, man? Yeah. We often have NPCs in our group. Why can't an NPC be a player character's kid? The NPC is, hey, we're playing 5th level characters. Well, the NPC is my 3rd level son or daughter or something. Yeah, why not? Fantastic says, hell yeah, man, didn't mean to change course. I just wanted to, it wasn't up to speed on the current topic, so went off title. No. We do that here. Our theme, if nothing else, is squirreling, like in the movie Up, where the dog is like, blah, 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 squirrel. We go off topic all the time. But I love to bring the off topic back on topic, having those connections with, like you were bringing up in the Call of Cthulhu, who we can have familial connections over generations, where someone who has died is part of the player character's connection. I mean, no matter what game we're playing, if we're playing Dungeons and Dragons, who's to say the story doesn't start out with the reading of a will, or the digging up of a corpse, or a ghost contacts one of the PCs and tells them about some heinous act, and that ghost is following the player character, and that's how the ghost is the PC's capabilities. Like what is it? There's a barbarian subclass about the ancients or something like that, right? Who's to say that isn't possible? Damn, I see something in the chat. Zevron says, an old game I was part of, I played the eldest of the pharaoh, and once he was ill, had to pose as him. I had to reestablish alliances with houses from long ago. Quote, we are of the same blood, help us. Oh, I like that. Especially like if a PC is trying, maybe a great kingdom was overthrown and a PC has a blood relationship with these other divergent houses that are spread amongst the gaming world, and they have to go and beseech these other kings and queens and say, listen, you need to come back to the main city state to help us. That's a possibility as well. Rickard says Call of Cthulhu is the story of an old relative dying, and the main character that goes through that which they left behind and uncovers the horrors of reality. A perfect idea, especially if, hey, listen, Call of Cthulhu it isn't about success. It's about how can I last longer than you, right? Like, I don't need to be the fastest runner. I just need to run faster than you guys. So every time the PCs die, on the next Call of Cthulhu adventure could start off where the other ones died. And it could be a gap of weeks, months, years, generations when the PCs come in again. So yeah, that's perfect. Zephyr says Us, the movie Us. Yeah, after a generation of seclusion and war, now there is an Us. Your father and his mother started war with us. Now we are us. Ooh. Yeah. The short story, not the game. Fantastic Dimensions. I kind of disagree. Success is measured differently, though, in Call of Cthulhu. Yeah. I'm being facetious. I'm being quite sarcastic. There's a reason why I'm picking, but there's a reason why Call of Cthulhu has lasted as long as it is, because it's much more than it. Success and failure in Call of Cthulhu is not measured by killing your experience points, right? He says, if the world is still alive at the end, that's a win. Hell yeah. Absolutely. But the idea that there is a legacy that our player characters are leaving, the classic, we are getting together to kill the big bad evil, and the player characters travel to 1,000 miles away. They kill all the evil things, the goblinoids and the evil lich and the dragon, and then they come to find out that their own relatives caused this war, that their father or their grandfather was part of this, that the evil lich was their mom or something, or their great grandfather, or that these evil things were trained in the same, trained in the same wizards academy that they were. I mean, tying these things together, and they don't need to be player characters. They could be evil creatures. I mastered my power, and I knew that one day I would, get to the 7th level or the 3rd circle of the wizard's tower. And the PC's like, is that why you're a sphinx? And the NPC is like, yeah, why aren't you a sphinx? And it's like, because I'm not crazy like you. I didn't get to the 7th circle of the 18th square or whatever of the 7th level of the Magic Academy. It's like, well, I did, so I'm a sphinx, so whatever the hell. So anyway, hey, I've got a riddle for you to solve. And, and then PC's rolling their eyes like, you always had riddles when we were in the academy. You know what I mean? Like, you tie those things together and make them more of a, express the relationships in and around the story by having that dialogue, even in the middle of combat. You know what I mean? Fantastic says, that said, I'm 12 sessions and 4 investigations into that campaign, and we haven't lost anyone yet. Yeah, good for you. Wow, that's pretty interesting. I like that. Rickard says, or at least the not going insane game. Yeah, yeah. Zev says, not going insane in Call of Cthulhu is the same as not destroying everything in the Hulk game. It's the entire point. Exactly. Fantastic says, I don't know, Rickard. If I were blind, deaf, mute, and paralyzed, I think I'd be insane already. Yeah. Sometimes I think sometimes in role-playing games, because we're coming to the end on this, that we do a disservice that, well, if my character can't die, that this game is stupid and there's no threat on the table. But going blind, deaf, insane, losing your hand, getting your eye ripped out, getting your arm chopped off, getting your entrails pulled out and you're still alive, being eternally being eternally tortured forever in the nine hells. Like, there are plenty of things that can happen to player characters where death isn't the result, but something far worse than death can happen. Loss of reputation, loss of all your money, loss of all your capabilities, loss of your memory, um, uh, uh, aging to the point of becoming a small child or becoming an old man, that kind of things. Uh, Fantastic says, I like all that stuff too. Death is a release, though. Yeah. Death is kind of like, could you please kill my player character? Because like he's infected and vomiting all the time, and he got his leg cut off, and he's got a dagger in his eye, and you broke his back, and could you just kill my character? You're like, no, the rules say, you know what I mean? Like, you got to play your character next week. And how am I going to do that? You know what I mean? Oh man, everyone says, sees a lich cast power word kill on 20 people in the village. 7 of us use level 1. I'm a punch it. At level 1, I'm a punch it. Yeah. So anyway, guys, we're wrapping it up here. We've been here over an hour. The rest of the week, we are going to continue about these ties, but we're going to come at it from a different point of view. So tomorrow is Tips and Tricks Tuesday, World Building Wednesday, Third Pillar Thursday, and of course, Future Friday. How can we use Future Friday with this? I don't know, but we will. So, guys, yeah. As everyone says, look, don't kill your characters in Call of Cthulhu. Death may be good, driving them mad is better. Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate you guys joining. Wow, 12 people in the chat. Not sure where you came from, but I'm glad you're here. I hope I can fill your day. Maybe just give that. Maybe you're trying to be creative, because that's really what we do here. Give that little spark of creativity. Like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a great idea. So again, as everyone says, descendants of your character in future sessions. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And Fantastic says, yeah, peace out, DBJ crew. I'll see y'all later. See ya. By the way, everyone, please, let's not measure our loves by our hates. Thank you very much. Everyone have a great one. See ya. Bye.